Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to a DADCAW. It's 3:46 in the afternoon of Friday, the 4th of September, 2020. Can you believe it's already September? I sort of can, I guess, but not really. That's just how things are. So, this is not going to be a particularly focused DADCAW on a specific topic. I'm actually just going to hit a couple of small topics here. We've got a bit of a grab bag. I wanted to talk a little bit about just some shit that's been grinding my gears. Some stuff that's really annoying me. Recently, YouTube has decided they are going to remove the live stream aspect of their the Stream Now thing, and they're replacing it. Well, they're not really replacing it with anything. They're just making it so that the only option that you have now is using this YouTube events thing. So since Stream Now technically is still there, I could be still using it, but it's going away, I think, before the end of this month or something to that effect, very, very soon. And as a result, early last month in August, I started using the events system to try to figure some stuff out. Now, I will actually do something a little bit different here and see if I can add my browser so that you can see that. There we go. So I don't mind my tabs, but I've basically been looking at this screen, and this is what I have to deal with every time I want to set up a stream. So there's two things here. So first, on Restream, since I'm using Restream and Stream Now, if I were to add a channel using YouTube Stream Now, which is, they may have actually removed it. It's somewhere in here, but presumably. Oh yeah, it looks like they just got rid of it, unless I'm blind and I can't see it, but there used to be a Stream Now option. You go in here, you pick that, you set it up. But you can't connect through the API anymore, which breaks the chat application. And I had some conversation with, well, oh yeah, I can see all my conversations. Mostly advertisements, but then this Artem guy sent some message to me about adding it, connecting it through the YouTube events thing. That is what allows you to have actual chat connection. I don't know why it wasn't working before, but here's the other kicker. So I don't know if this is a Restream problem or a YouTube problem. Presumably it's incompetence on multiple ends. But after every stream, unless I reload this page, which I've already done, my YouTube events thing in Restream, I mean, it always defaults to create new, which is a big problem. It completely resets description, tags, name, thumbnail, and I have no way of immediately knowing that information unless every single day that I want to stream, or every time I'm starting a new stream, in case I'm streaming multiple times, I'm jumping over here and actually I have to manually select in this slow-ass interface that, oh yeah, I want to point to this event instead of it just defaulting there. And I've tried to do this without reloading the live streaming page, but if I do that, there's nothing else other than the create new option in that drop-down menu. Because it's almost like on the YouTube side of things, it doesn't actually exist until you refresh. So that's why I think it's probably a YouTube thing. But the problem with the Restream one is this takes so long. It takes usually much longer to even pop up in the first place. And then, you've got to save it, and it doesn't even give you like any sort of animation that indicates that it is saving. It sort of grays the button out. But then it could be taking a while to actually save it, so you don't even know if it was successful. And then there's not even like a confirmation dialogue or anything. Like if I hit save, you'll see it again. This grays out for a while, then it disappears, and there's nothing. There's no description. There's no title. There's nothing about my event that has meaningfully changed. And so when I was first messing around with this stuff, I actually had to jump back in here just to confirm and again deal with the slow UI. So really annoying stuff there. And again, this is a daily thing. Now, normally I remember after my stream to do this at some point because I keep this tab open and then I tab back into it and it automatically will reload usually. And then I just pop in here and I've got to manually set it to public. And a lot of the times, if I were to go into my studio for videos and I jump into this stream thing here and I edit it, so like I'm just going to copy and paste worked on map 2 deliverance, and from memory I think it was like 1 minute was when I was working on the anvil layout, and then at some point I was working on like mixing in some hydro mod work, and then whatever the time thing there is, and then I'll add it to the playlist, and I'll Maybe I'll pick like this thumbnail because it's me working on stuff. And I'll write in Forcep 2020 mod stream, deliverance map 2. And I'll hit save. Now, I don't think it'll happen here, but if I do this without reloading the live stream page, sometimes what will happen is it'll actually take that title and metadata and apply it to my stream, thus basically making a copy of that, so that I have to go in here and redo the description, which, as you can see, doesn't even have new line support. Like, this is fucking insanity. And then I've got to like set it to unlisted instead of public, or vice versa. I've got to change the thumbnail. Like, it just inherits a bunch of shit depending on what you actually do. So now my my actual pipeline for working on live streams before was just bookmark the stream now option, which I think you can still access. Well, they have this button here to go back to classic streaming, and they don't actually let you go anywhere, so that's pretty amazing. But so say I go back to that old one, right? And I were to show you guys, or attempt to show you guys what's going on there. Unfortunately, it would not have actually worked anymore. But the old system was just, I press the live button and it goes live to that. It creates a new embed or whatever at the link that I always do, which is like C Pronogo live. And like, as you can see, this here is just like a stock thing that YouTube generates. It's got my channel background image there as the thumbnail. It says Pronogo live stream. There's no data at all. And this, notably, like, I think if you follow this URL while I'm streaming, it will change. But otherwise, it will be a complete, like, it's just this. Like, but that's not even the event that I set up, because the event has its own URL. So there was a point in time before I figured out whether or not this would work properly, where in order to, like, if I'm going into Ripcord, right, and I'm plugging in like the link to watch, and I'm posting it into the manifestod, like, just to show that I'm live. The link might not actually work, and that link is in other places too. So like, this makes my job even harder, because now it's just, I've got to like copy and paste a link, and you can't even do that from here when you're streaming. You have to like go to the watch page, which means, like, again, opening up my where's my video details? That means going back over here, going to like my channel videos thing, and then finding the stream in here like this, and then like grabbing the URL here and then pasting that instead of just the permanent link. So you don't actually have a permanent link anymore. And like, why? Why did they have to change it this way? Like, change it to something that's actually better. I can't actually see any advantages here beyond the fact that, like, okay, I guess you can add, if you had the ability to actually see the entire screen, which you can't, because I don't even know what to do about that. You could go into like age restriction settings or something, and that's it though. You can't even like set tags in here. You still have to go to the default thing. I guess scrolling it, like zooming in and out, actually fixed the issue where it was offset to the bottom for some reason. That is actually insane to me. I can't even resize it. Oh, if I click on something though, it'll fix it. So, why? What kind of psychotic, insane bugs are these anyway? And the fact that there's no new line support is insane. Like, I can't even like space this out correctly. Again, if I want to fix that, I've got to go into my area, but I actually can't even do that because, as you saw, there is no entry for this event. It doesn't get created until I go live. So, yeah. Anyway, that's really been pissing me off. And it pissed me off more when I didn't really have a full understanding of what was going on. But here's another thing. Every time I stream, it creates a new fucking key instead of just using the one that I already have. I already have this U key set up, and this is supposed to be a stream key that allows me to do whatever I need to do. And, like, why? Like, why does it need to generate a new one? I don't know if this is a restream thing or if this is a YouTube thing. But in any case, now I've got a million keys. It's like, it's not one per day that I've streamed, because I've obviously done a ton of streaming. But it might be like creating a new one now since last week or something. I don't know. It's just really weird. And there's no reason for it to be like that. So that's just been one of the things that's been bugging me. So I'll put that away now. But yeah, that's been annoying. And I've just been getting fed up with this service. It's not really much of a service. I mean, they take all my data. They sell it to some Chinese people. Now all the Chinese people know what I like to eat. Hint, I'm American. What do you think I like to eat? So yeah, they serve me ads and all that shit. I don't know, man. It's been a mess. I can't believe that YouTube has actually downgraded the experience of streaming that much. Now again, I guess this would be a little bit more trivial if my use case didn't involve using Restream, because then I don't have all of those stream keys made, and in theory, some of the other changes don't happen, but it's still a downgrade because it's still a new learning curve for an inferior end user experience. And if the link continues to be different every single time instead of actually having a permanent link like I used to have, that's also a negative end user experience for the people who are watching. And so there's no real excuse for this. Now, yeah, Restream could also handle the shit on their website better, particularly with the performance, but and hopefully they could also like allow you to pick a stream key instead of, well, I guess they can't because that's related to the event. Maybe they could allow you to actually edit the event from their side so that you could pick a default stream key and maybe allow you to set default options or something. But as far as I know, like maybe they have some issues with YouTube's API of that, but it's just a mess. And I don't know why they're like, okay, if you have this thing and I don't even know what the advantage is of it. Like, I guess they have like clipping and schedules and stuff, and that's the selling point. I don't know what it would be. Why does hitting the back button pop out the chat? Oh man, if you guys could have seen that. So yeah, I don't really know what that means or what any of that is, but it's pretty stupid that I have to deal with that now. And I don't care about clipping personally, and I don't need schedulers. I don't need to schedule my streams out in advance. So I don't actually benefit from any of the things that you've added using this event thing, this control room thing. So why can't I just use the old one? I get the idea that maybe you want to funnel people into the new one, but do that by making the new one the de facto option because it's better. Don't do it by literally removing a perfectly functioning one. Well, nothing is perfect on YouTube, but one that already functions that people are used to. Just improve the other one. Ask people what they might want to see in as far as improvements go. If people are still not using it, ask them why they're not using it. All things that are perfectly reasonable. Don't just remove it because you want them to use the other one. And I don't really know what YouTube's motivation is anyway. I don't really know what you get from that. So anyway, that was just something that was really annoying me. So yeah, that's been grinding my gears. Now, here's another thing that's been grinding my gears. Lately, I've been playing Ark with my brother, and it's a really, really poorly optimized game, and it's so poorly optimized that if you run a non-dedicated session, the host of that session has this 200-meter zone around them that any other player who is connected must remain within that zone. So to get around this, I have to run a dedicated server. And that is something where like the load times are pretty crazy. I had to move it from a hard drive to a solid state. It's basically running like it's basically the requirements of the actual game. So I'm basically running 2 instances of the game. Now, I don't know that much about dedicated servers. I don't know if maybe that's normal for dedicated servers, and the reason why it's more annoying or more ridiculous in Ark is because Ark itself is very poorly optimized, so you're running 2 very poorly optimized products or software. So maybe that has something to do with it. I've never really done dedicated server shit before, so I'm still new to it. But it was a miserable experience to set up. The user-created tools, of course, don't work, so that's hilarious. I didn't put that much effort into troubleshooting them, but they don't work, so XD. And I mean, it's in service to a game that's essentially just a series of chores and grinding, and that's dumb. Now, at the very least, Ark does support modding of some sort. I haven't gotten into it. I'm not really going to mess around with that stuff. I don't think that... I mean, maybe there is a mod out there that actually makes the game more performant. I would not be surprised that something like that would exist. I would only be surprised if it was done well, because most things are not done well. But man, what a game that is. And despite the fact that it's so poorly optimized, and despite the fact that the base game is really grindy and that not particularly interesting with the gameplay loop and the gameplay challenges that it throws at you, you are able to customize your experience even without modding. You just edit an INI file. You can customize quite a bit of stuff, and the fact that user customization and stuff like that is more like de facto, it's just like expected. It's like the status quo for a game like that. Why it's not the status quo for everything else is beyond me. And this brings me to my next shit fit. Halo Reach and Halo MCC modding is really bad right now. Halo as a game, none of them have been particularly good. Certainly none of them have had very inspiring single-player experiences, we'll put it to you that way. The enemies are mostly like literally programmed to be dumb. And when they are at higher difficulties, they just cheat. They have less like weapon cooldown than you do. They've got more ammo. They infinite ammo, but like they can, in many respects, they can shoot way more bullets than you can before they reload or overheat or something. Maybe not reload, but definitely overheat. And it's just a complete disaster in that respect. They don't try to make them interesting or challenging in a legitimate sense. They just add grind, and it's like walls of health, force you to use like plasma pistol and regular pistol as gimmick in order to clear shit out and stuff like that. So nobody thinks it's a good experience anyway, that I've run into. But the modding is where you can throw all that stuff out, where you can say that doesn't matter because I'm modding. I'm making something that is my own experience. This is going to be much better than whatever the default is. Yet, to mod that game, you need everybody connected to your IP address, so that's great. You need to have everybody use the modding tool and open the map file that you're in, and then you need to have everybody else. Well, I guess you could do like a patch system or something, but I'm pretty sure it doesn't matter. Like, in order to like do the group updating stuff for multiplayer, it's an insane amount of hoops you have to jump through. And there was no surefire way for me to do it, even with only one other client connected. I still could not make sure that every single weapon was successfully modded, that every single change that I put in was successfully implemented. It would just selectively not put some in for the other client. So you're basically stuck with single player changes, and everything is a map specific thing. So it would be like if in StarCraft, in order to change the stats of a unit, you had to edit it in the map, and you didn't have access to an external mod file that would change it in all cases where the map didn't already have some sort of modifications. Like local map changes would logically override mod changes, but assuming that there were no local map changes, the mod changes would take into effect. But you don't have a mod file. You have a patch file that can apply to a single map, or you have manually implementing these changes to a map. And then I guess you could save them to the map or something. I was not very successful in doing that, but mind you. So my thought process upon dealing with all this shit and sinking my teeth into it enough to figure out what the limitations were, and they are legion. My thought process is, I'll just mod an earlier Halo game. Surely those will work out fine. Except, it's not possible to have AI and multiple human connections in, for example, Halo Custom Edition, Combat Evolved, whatever, the PC port of the first game. It's not possible to have synchronous AI across multiple clients. Just wrap your head around that for a second. Because for whatever reason, Microsoft didn't want to allow co-op in the campaigns in the PC version. Or Gearbox didn't do it or something. I don't know the back end of it. But the idea that you can't even do something as basic as co-op versus AI in the most moddable of the games, and that the games that you can have some co-op versus AI element, you're incredibly limited in the changes you can make. Can't even make a new map. Can't even like add new terrain or anything like that. Can't have a map editor. Nothing. You are basically stuck with single player content, pretty much no matter where you go, or like PvP multiplayer mods or something. Just why? Why is there not a single FPS game that is reasonably moddable outside of like the Doom stuff Like, that's my determination now, is I might have to just mod Doom to implement some sort of co-op versus AI thing, because there's nothing else that you can mod, that's for sure. So I don't know, man. That's been pretty infuriating, to be honest. And just a bunch of things that have been pissing me off. So there's my therapy session for you. There's my ventilation. And I hope you enjoyed. I hope you found it funny. Hope you found it ridiculous. And tune in next week for another one of these that is hopefully a bit more targeted, a bit less venty, a bit less infuriated. And yeah. Bye.